Sandra was 41 years old when she finally looked at her retirement account. $47,200. That was it. 2 decades of working. And that was the number staring back at her. She knew it wasn't enough. What she didn't know was exactly how far behind she was, and more importantly, exactly what it would take to catch up. Here's the truth most people don't hear until it's too late. The gap between where most Americans are at 40 and where they need to be isn't a life sentence. But the math only works if you know the exact numbers, not the vague advice. This video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial professional before making retirement decisions. So let's talk about Sandra and the 3 numbers that changed everything for her. Here's the thing about retirement math. It's brutal when you ignore it, and it's actually manageable when you face it directly. But most people spend their 30s just trying to get stable, paying down student loans, buying a first home, raising kids. Retirement feels far away because it is far away. And then 40 hits. The standard benchmark most financial planners use, backed by decades of research from institutions like Fidelity and Vanguard, is that by age 40, you should have roughly 3 times your annual salary saved. 3 times. So if Sandra earns $60,000 a year, the benchmark says she should have about $180,000 saved by now. She had $47,000. That's a gap of roughly $133,000. That number sounds terrifying, but here's the thing most people miss. The gap isn't what kills your retirement. What kills it is not knowing the exact monthly number you need to close it. And that's exactly what we're going to build here. Not a rough estimate, not an "it depends" answer. The actual monthly savings targets, broken out by age, using real IRS contribution limits and real compound growth assumptions. Which of these starting points sounds closest to where you actually are right now? Drop your age and your current savings in the comments. We read everyone. Before we get to the numbers, you need to understand the 2 levers that drive all of this. Because once you see the mechanism, the monthly targets make intuitive sense instead of feeling random. Lever 1 is time. Every year you wait to start saving doesn't just cost you 1 year of contributions. It costs you the compound growth on every dollar you would have added. This is why the math at 50 looks so different from the math at 40, even if the final goal is identical. Lever 2 is rate of return. For this entire video, we're going to use 7% annualized growth. That's a conservative long-run estimate for a diversified index fund portfolio. Something like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, ticker VTSAX, or a comparable target date fund. 7% is not guaranteed, but it's a reasonable, historically grounded baseline, and it's what most retirement calculators default to when they're being honest. Now, the goal we're targeting is a retirement account balance large enough to support your lifestyle for roughly 30 years, from 65 to 95. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, which comes from the Trinity Study, a widely cited 1990s research paper on portfolio longevity, you'd need about 25 times your annual expenses saved. So, if you need $50,000 a year in retirement, your target is $1.25 million. If you need $60,000, your target is $1.5 million. Keep that math in your head. We'll use it for each scenario. Let's go back to Sandra, 41 years old, $47,000 saved, earning $60,000 a year. She's targeting $50,000 a year in retirement expenses, so her nest egg goal is $1.25 million. She has roughly 24 years until 65. Our $47,000, if she never added another dollar, would grow to about $241,000 by 65 at 7%. That leaves roughly $1,009,000 still to build. To accumulate $1,009,000 in 24 years at 7%, she needs to save approximately $1,730 per minute $1,730 a month. Now, can she do that? The 2 tools she needs to use are her workplace 401k and a Roth IRA. In 2025, the IRS allows a 40-year-old to contribute up to $23,500 annually to a 401k. That's about $1,958 a month, right there. She doesn't even need to max it fully. She needs to get to about $1,730, and if her employer offers any match, that match counts. She can stack a Roth IRA on top. The 2025 limit is $7,000 a year for individuals under 50, which adds another $583 a month in tax-advantaged room. Sandra's situation is tight, but it's solvable. The key word there is solvable. Now let's look at someone who waited 5 more years. Mark is 45, also earning $60,000 a year, also targeting a $1.25 million nest egg, but he only has $30,000 saved. Mark has 20 years until 65. His $30,000 at 7% grows to about $116,000 by 65. He needs to build the remaining $1,134,000 in 20 years. That monthly target is $2,430 per minute once. $2,430 every month for 20 years. This is where the math starts getting uncomfortable. And this is why the 5 years between 40 and 45 matter so much. Not because the income requirements change, but because time is running out and compound interest starts working against you instead of for you. Here's what Mark has in his favor, though. At 45, he's 5 years away from 50. And at 50, the IRS allows catch-up contributions. The catch-up contribution rule, established under the Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act of 2001 and updated regularly since then, lets people 50 and older add an extra $7,500 per year to their 401k on top of the standard limit. In 2025, that brings the total 401k limit for someone 50 and older to $31,000 a year. That's roughly $2,583 a month in a single account. For Mark, the plan looks like this. From 45 to 50, he saves as aggressively as possible, targeting that $2,430 per minute once. The moment he hits 50, he flips on catch-up contributions and actually has more room than he needs in his 401k alone. The Roth IRA catch-up at 50 also increases to $8,000 a year in 2025, or $667 a month. Mark's path is harder than Sandra's, but it's still real. The math still works. If this kind of breakdown, with actual mechanisms instead of vague advice, is what you've been looking for, subscribe. We do one story like this every week, built for people who are still building, not for people who already have it figured out. Now let's look at the hardest case. Patricia is 50, earning $60,000 a year, and she has $20,000 saved. $20,000. And she has 15 years until 65. Her $20,000 grows to about $55,000 by 65 at 7%. She needs to build the remaining $1,195,000 in 15 years. That monthly target is $3,880 per minute once. $3,880 a month. For 15 years. This is where most financial content either gives up or starts selling you something. We're not going to do either. Here's the honest picture for Patricia. At $60,000 a year in gross income, saving $3,880 a month means saving about 78% of her take-home pay. That is not realistic for most people on that income. So Patricia has 3 real options, and most people in her situation need to combine at least 2 of them. Option 1, increase income. A second income stream, a career move, a higher earning role. Every additional dollar of annual income at 50, invested immediately, generates roughly $34 in the nest egg by 65 at 7%. So a $10,000 income increase means an extra $340,000 in the nest egg. That number should sit with you for a second. Option 2, reduce the retirement spending target. If Patricia can live on $35,000 a year instead of $50,000, her nest egg target drops to $875,000. Now her monthly savings number drops to about $2,720. Still hard, but more realistic. Option 3. Push retirement to 67 or even 68. 2 extra years of contributions plus 2 fewer years of withdrawals, plus Social Security benefits that increase by roughly 8% for every year you delay claiming between 62 and 70. That combination is powerful. Delaying to 67 instead of 65 drops Patricia's required monthly savings to around $3,210. Still a stretch, but closer. And here's the piece that most people at 50 don't realize. The IRS catch-up rules work hard in Patricia's favor. At 50, she can put $31,000 into her 401k and $8,000 into a Roth IRA, that's $39,000 a year, in tax-advantaged space, or $3,250 a month, just from those 2 accounts. If her employer matches even 3% of her salary, that's another $1,800 a year. The tax advantages matter enormously here, because every dollar she avoids in taxes is another dollar that goes into the account. What's the retirement income number you're actually targeting? Drop it in the comments. We're curious whether most people are aiming for the same ballpark or whether the range is wider than we think. So what does any of this mean for you practically this week? Step 1. Run your own gap calculation. You need 3 numbers: your current savings balance, your years to 65, and your annual retirement spending target. Take that target, multiply it by 25. That's your nest egg goal. Subtract what your current balance will grow to by 65 at 7%. The remainder is your gap. Then use any free compound interest calculator. Investor.gov has a solid one. It's free and run by the Securities and Exchange Commission to find the monthly contribution that closes that gap. This takes about 15 minutes, and it's the single most important financial number you can know right now. Step 2. Max the tax-advantaged accounts in this order. First, get every dollar of your employer's 401k match. That's a 100% return on that money before it even invests, and leaving it on the table is the most expensive mistake in retirement savings. Second, if you qualify for a Roth IRA, the income phase-out for 2025 starts at $150,000 for single filers and $236,000 for married filing jointly. Max that. It's after-tax money going in, but every dollar of growth and every withdrawal in retirement is completely tax-free. Third, go back and push your 401k contribution as high as possible toward the annual limit. If you've maxed both and still need more room, a taxable brokerage account using low-cost index funds is the next layer. Fidelity and Vanguard both offer 0 or near zero expense ratio index funds that are sensible options here. The tax advantages are gone, but the compound growth is the same. One more thing. These numbers assume you're starting from scratch right now. Every month you wait makes the monthly target higher, not by a little. The math doesn't stay still. Sandra ran her numbers that same night. She found out she needed to save about $1,700 a month to hit her goal. It was hard, but it wasn't impossible. And knowing the exact number, instead of a vague sense of dread, was the thing that let her actually start. That's what the math does when you face it directly. The next video already on the channel is about how to actually choose the right target date fund inside your 401k, because not all of them are built the same way, and the wrong one quietly costs you more than you'd expect over 20 years. It's already up.